Something ought to be said about that.
Hey, Deb.
What's going on?
A whole lot's going on. We're coming down to the end of season 1, Deb.
Yeah.
And what I wonder is how many people have been watching and what shows they enjoyed most.
I think we ought to ask them. What do you think?
I agree with you. So how do we do that?
Well, basically, if somebody hasn't seen our show, they can go to our YouTube channel, type in Something Ought to Be Said About That, be able to watch the shows. And if you like one, pick the one that you want to have aired again.
Once you've looked on YouTube, go to learningandchanging@gmail.com and let us know which one you chose. And we're going to air those shows during the month of April and May. We look forward to hearing from you.
And I will always love you. I will always love you.
Welcome, Dr. Davis.
Thank you for inviting me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Dr. William Garrett Davis. I'm pastor of the Kingdom Life Christian Center located in Brooklyn, and I'm also a licensed psychotherapist. I treat individuals, couples, and families in regards to relationship matters, as well as I treat a number of mental health issues to help the people get to a place of wholeness in their life.
But there's something I keep hearing in what you're saying. In order to do this, there are two things. Number one, relationships require work.
Definitely.
So it's not just, because I think a lot of time what happens is, and you taught us this many years ago about the stages of relationship and how relationships go from stage to stage. And I think a lot of time what happens with people is they're in the euphoric beginning stage and they're excited and they're putting in the effort into that relationship.
Definitely.
But over time, as they move out of that stage into some of the other stages, they don't invest as much energy, time, and work into building that relationship. And that's when you begin to see that breakdown because that work isn't being done.
Definitely. I mean, there are 5 stages to every relationship. The first stage is the ecstasy stage. Mm-hmm. The ecstasy stage is a time where people are glad to see each other. They want to build a relationship. They want to see each other. They want to go out. They want to explore each other. They put their best foot forward. They compliment a lot. They buy things a lot. They do things that they don't normally do. As a matter of fact, in the ecstasy stage, people take a vacation from their own life. Mm-hmm. Because people are
rearrange the schedule.
Yeah, people are generally selfish, but in the ecstasy stage, they take a vacation from their own life and they focus on the other person. They watch what they say. They don't let the skeletons out the closet. Nobody has a crazy Uncle Joe. Nobody. So everything is wonderful.
Yes.
And that is a desirable stage. Nobody wants that stage to end. It's a feel good. Nobody wants to hang up the phone. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. Your voice is the last voice I want to hear before I lay my head on the pillow. that type of thing.
Yes.
But even though it's a wonderful stage, that is the shortest stage. Well, I don't know if it's the shortest stage, but it is the most phony stage.
Okay.
So you gotta know that when everything is wonderful and don't want to end the phone calls, that's not realistic. It moves from the ecstasy stage to the reality stage. Mm-hmm. And in the reality stage, you start to see some inconsistencies as what you saw before. In the ecstasy stage, if a woman going out on a date, they might buy a dress, keep the tag on the dress, wear it to the date, and then after the date was wonderful, you look good, she might take the dress back to the store and get her money. Because those are things that people do to put their best foot forward. That's the things that people do to make sure they look just right and saying all the right things. Statistics. Now, this is not this. I'm just reporting statistics. Statistics say that men talk less than women, and women talk more than men. But you'll notice in the ecstasy stage, women listen more in the ecstasy stage and seem more interested
Oh, my.
in the
What he has to
ecstasy
say, right?
stage.
Uh-huh.
And men bump
Busted.
up their game. They talk more, and that's a sense, a feeling of, okay, the man knows how to communicate because the woman is listening to the more talk. But the reality, in reality, the man comes down with his conversation. The woman goes up with her conversation, and in the reality stage, people begin to find that out.
Oh my.
And they began somehow to get sometimes to get dissatisfied. You used to talk to me, you used to share with me about everything. Now you seem to be keeping things quiet. And from the man's perspective, you used to listen to me. Now you don't listen to me. You talk over me. You know, so you know, and that's the reality stage. The inconsistencies start to come out. And then the next stage is the challenge stage. They start to argue about the inconsistencies. If there are challenges.
Yes.
Ooh,
There are
Pastor, you on it
challenges with
now.
that. And then most times in the dating stage, if the challenges outweigh the good stuff, people usually break up.
Okay.
If they survive the challenge stage,
If they survive.
if they survive the challenge stage, if they're trying to press toward the relationship, survive the challenge stage, it moves into the definition stage, where the relationship is defined based on reality,
Okay.
not the ecstasy. You know, now I mean in the ecstasy stage, nobody breath stinks. But in the reality stages, what was somebody died over there?
Here's some men.
I know, right? Tic Tac.
But in the definition stage, all that is out,
Okay.
and the compromise is, look, I know your breath stink. Just buy some Tic Tacs and brush your teeth
There you
more
go.
than one time a day. We should be all right, you know. So it's defined based upon what's really going on. And the last stage is the resolve stage. This is how we resolve to live our life. You know, so I mean, I knew a couple. They got married, and at their resolve stage, I mean, because they bought a 3-family house. Now, I'm not saying that this is what should be done, and I'm not telling people how to resolve their own relationship this way. But I'm just reporting what the resolve for this couple was. And they bought a 3-family house. She lived on the bottom. He lived on the top floor. And they had a tenant in between.
Oh.
And if she wanted to see him, she went upstairs. If he wanted to see her, she went downstairs. And they had the tenant in between. And that's how they resolved to live their life.
Okay. Did they have to knock on the door? Excuse me. Wow.
I mean,
that's
technically, you know,
That's,
even the scriptures, it's, you know, marriage is honorable and bed is undefiled, but it does not specifically define how you're going to resolve, what your specific resolve is in regards to living
Regarding where you sleep.
arrangements
Yeah.
and
Oh,
chores
wow.
and things like that.
it worked for them.
It worked for them. I don't know if I would advise
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
but that's the way they resolve it, and that is some resolve.
Now, in terms of the workaround that worked for that couple, though, it brings me to wonder about a certain thing in terms of mindset. In terms of relationship, wouldn't that be a more single person, I want to live on my own mindset rather than a relational, we living together type of, I'm not judging their situation or any of their solutions because it's working for them. But just in terms of relationships between people, is there like a concept of you want to have a more dual mind rather than single mind? Because I've heard it said that people say, well, if they want to live like that, then they should have stayed single. You know, does that say something about a detriment to a relationship?
Okay, now the thing is, about the resolve, they went through all the other stages.
Okay.
And they still decided that we're going to be together. And it's almost like when I was living in a home with one bathroom faucet,
Okay.
and me and my wife had to use the same faucet. Well, what I resolved that when I got another house, I'm going to find one with two sinks.
Two sinks.
So
Okay.
it's just a kind of better the situation because of the shifting of my mind, saying we can work together
Okay.
with two sinks and they won't hinder each other. So, and I don't know why these people made that particular decision, but I'm saying they're still together. They still have the mindset that we are going to um, be together for the rest of our natural life.
Okay.
So that is a personal resolve. They might still have the same um, um, strategies, like okay, we're going to have a date night. We're going to spend this time in church. We're going to spend this time going this place, going that place. They may have thought, well, okay, it might resemble singleness, like dating, because dating you don't live together. You just go and visit a person, pick them up, or take them, whatever. It might resemble that. Like I said, I don't know exactly why they had that arrangement, but it is their resolve.
Okay.
You know, and the Bible don't tell us how to set it up physically, but mentally, the Bible said, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife. So this resolve that they came to might be a cleaving situation and a break situation at the same time. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I can say that there needs to be a resolve to continue the relationship because most people don't have a resolve. So it's easy for them to split up.
Okay.
Just like when we were talking about the argument, most people don't have an atmosphere that they want to experience on a regular basis. That's why they get into attitudes and negative conversation and things like that, because they don't have anything to keep them in a check place. Or if I want to experience peace and love and respect, then I better not say that, because both parties know the buttons that each person, they know what the button that they can push to set the other person off. So a resolve, because there has to be a commitment to make the thing work anyway. There have to be a commitment. I do a seminar called How to Recover from Infidelity, and one of the things that I say in the seminar is, okay, first of all, you got to decide that you want to work on the relationship, and the relationship has been compromised because you made a commitment to live together for the rest of your natural life. And in the book I wrote, Christian's Guide to Mate Selection and Marital Preparation, my definition of marriage is a legal/spiritual contractual agreement with another imperfect person of the opposite sex for the rest of your natural life. And the whole thing is,
Jesus.
the whole thing, that sets the foundation. That sets the foundation. And if that trust is broken, if that commitment is broken, it basically signals the death of the relationship. And the relationship has to be resurrected. And the person that committed the infidelity really has to assist the other person, because the person that committed the infidelity cannot restore trust. The other person has to restore trust, and the offender, has to be committed to do what is necessary to restore that relationship. And like,
Go ahead.
one of the things that I used to tell my clients, okay, usually when somebody finds out about an infidelity, people get upset. The person gets upset. As a matter of fact, it kind of resembles what happens if a person dies. First of all, they cannot believe it because they're in denial that I just saw the person over there. I just saw them yesterday. So they're in denial. But then after denial, they get angry. So you go through that type of thing, and in order to restore the relationship, I mean, the woman usually a woman. I mean, I have some clients that are men, that cheated on men, but it's usually cheated on cheated on the man, but it's usually the man that cheated on the woman, and the woman has a lot of questions. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? What's wrong with me? Or the woman have a lot of questions, and at the point that the person comes to me, the couple comes to me, the man has acknowledged that he did this. Yes, I did this. But he's quick to say, oh, listen, I'm not going to do it no more. Let's forget about it. Let's move on. Don't talk about this no more. If you want a better relationship, let's just go on. And I say to them that it's easy for a man to say, let's move on, because of the way his communication is different than her communication. His communication is straightforward communication. Communication, it's like this: 1 + 1 equals 2. That's the bottom line. Just get to the bottom line. I don't want to hear all that. Just get to the bottom line. And what his thinking is, I told you the bottom line. I did it. I'm not going to do it anymore. But most women engage in circular dialogue, which means, and I'll try to illustrate it this way: it's not 1 + 1 equals 2. It's 1 1/4 + 1/4 + 1/4 + 1/4 + 1/2 + 1/2 equals 2. It's the same answer, but it gets
How you get there
more
is different.
details, more how you get there. So when he says, I'm not going to do it anymore, she has a lot of questions. And the whole thing is, she is trying to restore trust again. She's trying to look for things to be good again and right again. But she has to discover that by all the questions she asks. And usually the man say, I'm tired of her talking about that. I'm tired of her asking me questions. I already answered the question. He's the 1 + 1 = 2 person. And she want to know if she may ask the same question 20 times. You know, did you cheat? Yes. Did you? And I tell the man, this is how you help her restore trust. If she asks you 1 time, answer her. If she asks you 2 times, answer her the same way. If she answers 3 times, answer her the same way. And usually by the 4th time, he's fed up with it. I've told you this already. But I say, a woman, if she asks you the first time, she's looking to hear what you're saying. And if she asks you the second time, she may be trying to get what you look like. Your body language. She may be looking for, if you're looking up, you're trying to make up stuff. If you're looking down, so you're lying. So I said, listen, she has to go through that process. You have to cooperate with it. So what you do is, whatever she asks you, you answer.
Okay.
And after a while, she began to say, he's consistent. He didn't look suspicious. He didn't look like he was telling a lie. He didn't look like he was genuine. But a lot of men are not willing to go through that process. And then I say you have to step up your accountability. I say, if you go into the corner store, you tell her, I'm going to the corner store. I will be back in 5 minutes. So then, if he goes to the corner store and bumps into a buddy that he hasn't seen since high school, you can greet the person and say, hold on a minute. Let me get on my phone and tell my wife, I just bumped into my high school friend. What I'm going to do is get his number, and I'm going to be back home. It should take another 2 minutes. So because she needs to see accountability, because
On your part.
she's trying to restore the trust in herself. And if you don't call, if you come back 20 minutes later and you didn't inform her, then she feels like there's something suspicious going on. You're not repentant. You don't care about us and our relationship, or maybe our children. So I tell them, have the mindset. You're coming to get this thing worked out. Have the mindset to actually do the work. Don't say, why you want to know everything about me? Why you want to know where I'm going? I mean, I can't even eat a sandwich without you. No, because you're on a mission. You broke the foundation. It's your responsibility to fix the foundation, and you're on a mission, and you have to look at it like that. And your ego has to drop. And you have to, and I tell people that they're Christians, you have to allow God to help both of you, you know, and you have to, you should not think more highly of yourself than you should. God wants you to have a repentant heart. And you should have the desire to turn from your ways.
Change
So,
is
so
good.
if you have that desire, then you will do the things that's necessary.
Yeah.
You know, don't poke your chest up and say, "Well, I did this because she did this." No, you are accountable and responsible for your part, the part that you play. Now, if people they be consistent, because recovery can be a process. If they are consistent with what they're supposed to do, then things should pan out. The process should come to a desirable goal. You know, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then they will be in this fight for a long time. And they may lose their family, they may lose their children. And you wouldn't want to do that if you were kind of pulled into a situation where you may not have wanted to be in, but you know your flesh was weak. Usually your flesh wants to move from pain to pleasure. And a lot of times people get into outside relationships is because if they have dissatisfaction at home, that's kind of a painful situation. And if somebody's pulling them from another place, it brings a certain amount of pleasure. So you might fall, but you can get up. You know,
Okay.
you have to have the desire to get up. So that's what I say to couples that in the seminar when I do how to recover from infidelity.
So you just gave us a tip, though, that we need to hear. In being in a marital relationship, that woman, because there's a scripture that says it's better to be on a rooftop than to be in the house with a brawling woman. One of the things that you brought out, I think, in what you just said, is that often, and I think when people are dating and when they're in that courtship phase, it's about fun, having a good time together, enjoying one another. And I think a lot of time one of the things that happens after people get married is it's running the house and doing the job and getting the work, and we lose that sense of making home a place where people want to come to. And so what ends up happening is, and I say this to women all the time, if you make everything at home about what didn't get done, what you're dissatisfied about, then he's not going to want to come home. You are encouraging him not to want to come home because it's not a place of pleasure. It's a place of pain. And so there's a level of wisdom, I think, that you have to utilize. Yes, you have to deal with whatever issues come up. There has to be communication around difficult things. But you also, I think it goes back to what you said when we first started about you have to decide how you want what you're saying to impact your environment.
Definitely. Yeah, I think the way people kind of spiral into saying what they want that will lead to tit for tat, that will lead to arguments, is because, you know, they were trained to do that.
Yes.
They came up in an environment where that was the norm, that was the staple. So if they get married to a person, a different type of person, they do their same strategy for whatever incident take place. They do the same exact thing. You know, I do anger management, and I get referrals from the court, and the people that refer from the courts. What happened is some people get arrested over and over again, and I kind of explored that with certain situations. And the reason why the person gets arrested over and over again because they only have one way to handle things. And when I do anger management, I give them alternatives. So either they could do what they've been doing, or they could
try
do,
this.
Yes, they can try either one of the other 3 or 4 solutions that I give them. And most people who try the solutions, that means you got to break certain habits that you've developed. And for men, you have to break your ego because, you know, you have to decide what atmosphere you want. Do you want to be sitting in jail? Or do you want to be home? So that would impact you. If you think about, okay, if I do this, the cop's going to be called. I'm going to be someplace else other than home. Then you might change your mind.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
right.
about alternatives, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that that's important, because if you was sitting in Rikers Island for two other incidents and you don't like that feeling, then when the next incident come up, you would do something different.
You think differently.
You know, if you want something different, you got to do something different.
different.
The problem with a lot of people is they don't know what difference to do. You know, so I try to teach them how to do things differently. You know, if you knew better, you can do better. So I try to give them what to do better so they could do it, and then save themselves the trouble and all the nonsense that they go through when they are trapped in the way they was trained. A lot of people train wonderful, but some people just wasn't trained that way. My website is www.helpmetransformmylife.com. www.helpmetransformmylife.com.
We're coming down to the end of season 1, Deb.
Yeah.
And what I wonder is how many people have been watching and what shows they enjoyed most.
Basically, if somebody hasn't seen our show, they can go to our YouTube channel, type in something ought to be said about that, be able to watch the shows. And if you like one, you know, pick the one that you want to have aired again.
Once you've looked on YouTube, go to learningandchanging@gmail.com and let us know which one you chose. And we're going to air those shows during the month of April and May.